Ladies and gentlemen, you've been through hell, haven't you? And it feels like the world has looked at you, walked over you, turned their backs on you. But let me tell you something you might have forgotten in your moments of pain. God's love covers you. It covers you when they said you weren't good enough, when they said you wouldn't make it, when they thought your story was over. You're still here, aren't you? And that right there is proof that God's love is bigger than all the scars you carry. Listen, you're not defined by your brokenness, by your past, by the things that hurt you. No. You are defined by the unshakable, unstoppable love of a God who knows exactly who you are. I don't care if you've fallen 1,000 times. God's love is there, pulling you back up every single time. Every time. Yeah, you've been through things that no one else can even begin to understand, but you are still here. And in that brokenness, God is making you strong. His love doesn't look at your weakness as a flaw. He looks at it as an opportunity to show you his strength, his power. You might be broken, but you're not defeated. So I want you to stand tall. No matter how low they've made you feel, no matter what they've said about you, God's love has already covered it. You are not the sum of your past mistakes, your failures, or your scars. You are a daughter of the King, and his love never runs out. It's waiting to heal you, restore you, and elevate you. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. Now, take a look at yourself, not through the eyes of the world, but through the eyes of God. You are valuable. You are precious. And there is nothing that can ever separate you from his love. You may feel like you've been through the fire, but understand this, that fire is what's purifying you, making you stronger. It's making you ready for what's next. You may feel broken, but baby, you're not beyond repair. God's love is here to pick you up and put you back together, piece by piece, and make you even better than before. So stand tall, walk with your head held high, because your journey is just beginning. God's love covers you. Always, God's love is unconditional. It doesn't depend on what we do or don't do, on how good we are or how much we fail. It isn't based on our achievements, our status, or our worth in the eyes of the world. It is a love that is given freely, regardless of who we are or what we've been through. It is not influenced by our mistakes or imperfections, and it isn't something we can earn or lose. This love is constant, unchanging, and constant in its pursuit of us. For women who have been broken, this is a truth that stands firm even when everything else seems uncertain. The world may throw judgment, rejection, and expectations at you, but God's love remains steady like an anchor that holds you in place even in the fiercest storms. No matter the weight of the burden you carry, his love doesn't add more pressure. It lifts you up, holding you in a space of grace and mercy, free from the demands that others place upon you. When you feel that you've fallen too far, when you think you've made too many mistakes, or that you're too damaged to be loved, God's love breaks through those lies. It reaches down to where you are and says, I love you, not for what you've done, but because you are mine. His love doesn't judge, it heals. It doesn't condemn, it restores. It doesn't look at your failures and label you. Instead, it sees your potential and calls you to rise up again. God's love is never dependent on your actions. It simply is. always available, always present, always willing to embrace you. Healing begins with God's love because it is the foundation upon which restoration is built. When life breaks us down, whether through pain, rejection, or loss, we often feel like healing is out of reach. We search for solutions in people, places, or things, but those things can only offer temporary relief. God's love, however, offers something deeper, something lasting. It is a love that sees beyond the surface and reaches the very core of our being. It isn't just about fixing what's broken on the outside, it's about mending what has been shattered within. When you open yourself to God's love, you allow it to penetrate the deepest parts of you. The places you've kept hidden, the wounds you've tried to ignore. His love doesn't shy away from those areas of hurt. Instead, it moves in and begins the process of healing. It doesn't come with conditions or expectations. It simply meets you where you are and works within you to restore your soul. Where there's pain, His love brings peace. Where there's grief, His love offers comfort. Where there's bitterness, His love brings forgiveness. God's love also provides the patience needed for true healing. Unlike the world, which often demands instant results, God's love understands that healing takes time. It allows you to take the necessary steps at your own pace, never rushing or forcing you into something you're not ready for. Healing begins with His love, because it is through His love that we learn to trust again, to hope again, and to believe that we are worthy of being whole. It is a process, but it is one that is built on the unwavering foundation of God's unending love. Restoration is possible no matter how broken you may feel. The truth is that life can sometimes bring us to places where we feel irreparably damaged, as though the pieces of our hearts and spirits are scattered beyond repair. But in the midst of this despair, there is a powerful truth. God specializes in restoration. He doesn't just put things back together in the way they were before. He transforms them into something even stronger, more beautiful, and more resilient than before. Restoration is possible because God's love knows no limits. It doesn't matter how deep the scars are or how long the pain has lingered. His love has the power to heal, to restore, and to bring back what has been lost. It doesn't matter if your spirit has been crushed by betrayal, rejection, or loss. God sees beyond the hurt and sees the person He created you to be. He knows the original purpose and beauty inside you, and He longs to restore that. This restoration doesn't come through self-reliance or human effort alone. It comes through surrendering to God's love. When you open yourself to His healing touch, you allow Him to remove the broken pieces and replace them with new strength, new hope, and new direction. Restoration is a process. It's not immediate, and it doesn't always happen overnight. But with God, it is always a possibility. Even when you think that your past mistakes or pain have disqualified you, He looks at you with eyes full of compassion and sees your potential for restoration. God's love can restore what was once lost, rebuild what was torn down, and breathe new life into what seemed beyond saving. There is no place too broken for His love to reach. God's love is patient, and this patience is one of the most profound aspects of His love. In a world that often demands immediate results, quick fixes, and instant satisfaction, it's hard to comprehend a love that isn't rushed, that doesn't grow frustrated with delays or setbacks. But that's exactly what God's love offers. A patience that never grows weary, a patience that waits for us even when we don't have it all together. God's love doesn't rush us into healing or growth. It allows us to take our time to work through our pain, to wrestle with our doubts, and to face our fears, knowing that He is there every step of the way. When we fall, He doesn't scold or abandon us. He waits patiently for us to get back up, offering encouragement rather than condemnation. His love is not demanding or forceful. It simply stands by offering grace and mercy until we are ready to move forward. This patience is a reflection of God's deep understanding of who we are. He knows our struggles, our weaknesses, and the complexities of our hearts. He doesn't expect perfection. He expects progress, however small it may be. His love doesn't grow impatient when we make mistakes or when we take longer than expected to heal. Instead, He stays with us through every season, holding us with a love that doesn't give up, no matter how long it takes. For women who have been broken, this patience is especially significant. It offers a space for healing, growth, and transformation, free from the pressure of needing to be fixed immediately. God's love patiently walks alongside you, waiting for the moment when you are ready to step into the fullness of who you are meant to be. The strength and weakness is a concept that can be difficult to grasp, especially when we are used to valuing power, success, and achievement. But God's love reveals a deeper truth. It is often in our moments of vulnerability, brokenness, and weakness that His strength is most evident. When we are at our lowest, when we feel like we have nothing left to give, that's when God's power shines the brightest. In our weakness, we are reminded that we cannot rely solely on our own strength. We are not meant to carry the weight of the world by ourselves. It's when we come to the end of our own abilities that we make space for God's strength to work within us. His power doesn't come to us through our perfection or our self-sufficiency. It comes in our surrender, in our willingness to admit that we need Him. God's love shows us that our weakness is not a limitation. It is the very place where His strength can be most fully revealed. For women who have been broken, this is a powerful truth. It is not in pretending to be strong that we find healing, but in embracing our weaknesses, acknowledging the areas where we have been hurt, and allowing God to work in those places. His strength is not about making us invincible. It's about empowering us to rise up again, to press forward even when we don't feel capable. God's love fills the gaps in our weaknesses, turning them into testimonies of His grace and power. Through our brokenness, we become vessels of His strength, carrying the power of God's love in ways that we never could if we were perfect. In our weakness, we discover that we are not alone. His strength is always with us, ready to carry us through. Identity in Christ is the foundation upon which a woman's worth and purpose are built. In a world where identity is often shaped by external factors, such as appearance, achievements, relationships, or societal expectations, God offers a radically different perspective. Our true identity is not defined by the labels others place on us or even the roles we play in life. It is defined by who we are in Christ. Through Christ, we are adopted into the family of God, beloved daughters of a king. This identity is not earned. It is given freely as an act of grace. The moment we accept God's love, we are made new in Him. We are no longer defined by our past mistakes, the pain we've endured, or the scars we carry. Those things do not determine who we are. Instead, it is God's love and the sacrifice of Jesus that shape our true identity. In Christ, we find a deep sense of belonging. We are not alone in this world. We are part of something greater, a divine family that transcends earthly ties. This identity in Christ brings security because it is rooted in God's eternal love and unchanging nature. No matter what happens, no matter the challenges we face, our identity in Christ remains steadfast. For women who have been broken, embracing this identity is liberating. It means that no matter how the world has tried to define us or how we have defined ourselves based on past hurt, we are always seen and known by God. He sees us not as broken, but as whole in Him, capable of living out the purpose He has designed for us. In Christ, we are enough just as we are, and that is the truest form of identity we can ever find. Freedom from shame is one of the most profound gifts that God's love offers. Shame has a way of attaching itself to us, often distorting our perception of ourselves and making us believe we are unworthy of love, forgiveness, or redemption. It tells us that we are defined by our mistakes, our past, and our failures. But God's love shatters that lie. In His eyes, we are never defined by our shame, but by His grace and mercy. When we accept God's love, we are given freedom from the weight of shame. Jesus took on that shame when He was crucified so that we could be free. His sacrifice means that we no longer have to carry the burden of past mistakes or painful experiences. In Christ, we are not condemned, we are forgiven. Shame tries to keep us stuck in the past, constantly reminding us of our shortcomings, but God's love invites us into a new reality, a reality where we are no longer slaves to our guilt. For women who have been broken, this is a life-changing truth. Shame often tells us that we are not worthy of restoration or that we are beyond repair. But God's love says the opposite. He sees us as beautiful, as whole, as valuable, no matter what we have been through. He does not hold our past against us, but instead offers us a future filled with healing and hope. Through God's love, we are freed from the prison of shame and allowed to walk in the freedom of being fully accepted and loved. We no longer have to hide in the shadows of guilt and self-condemnation. God's love covers us, heals us, and sets us free to live in the truth of who we are, His beloved children, chosen and cherished. Empowered to rise again is a truth that speaks to the core of every woman who has experienced hardship, loss, or brokenness. Life has a way of knocking us down, sometimes repeatedly, until we feel like we can't get back up. The weight of despair, failure, and pain can make us believe that we are finished, that our story is over. But God's love speaks differently. It speaks of restoration, of the power to rise from the ashes, stronger and more resilient than before. Through God's love, we are given the strength to rise again, even when we feel like we've been defeated. His love doesn't just comfort us in our pain, it equips us to overcome it. When we are down, He doesn't leave us there. He breathes new life into us, filling us with the courage to face another day, the strength to keep moving forward, and the determination to believe that our best days are still ahead. This empowerment comes not from our own strength, but from God's power working within us. It is His love that lifts us out of the depths of despair and sets our feet on solid ground. It is His presence that sustains us through the darkest moments, reminding us that we are not alone. His love gives us the confidence to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep trusting that He has a purpose for us, even when we can't see it in the moment. For women who have been broken, this empowerment is a promise: you are never beyond the reach of God's grace. No matter how many times you've fallen, God's love is always there to lift you back up. You are empowered through His love to rise again, stronger, wiser, and more ready than ever to walk in the purpose He has for you. Purpose in the pain is a powerful truth that reveals how God can bring meaning and growth even in the most difficult circumstances. Life's trials can often leave us questioning why we must go through suffering. Pain, loss, and heartache can feel senseless, leaving us wondering how we will ever recover. But God, in His infinite wisdom and love, never allows our pain to be wasted. Instead, He uses it to shape us, to refine us, and to prepare us for something greater. When we go through hardship, it can feel like we are drowning in the weight of our circumstances. But in the midst of that pain, God has a way of drawing us closer to Him, teaching us lessons that can only be learned in the fire. Through our struggles, we often discover strength we didn't know we had, resilience that surprises us, and a deeper relationship with God. Our pain, when surrendered to Him, becomes a tool for transformation. For women who have been broken, this truth is especially powerful. God doesn't cause our pain, but He uses it to bring about healing, growth, and ultimately purpose. Our experiences of loss, betrayal, or heartache are not meaningless. In God's hands, they become stepping stones that lead us to a more profound understanding of ourselves, of His love, and of the power He has to bring beauty from ashes. God can take what was meant to harm us and use it to shape us into who we are called to be. The pain doesn't define us, but rather it becomes part of the story God is writing in our lives, a story filled with healing, hope, and purpose. Even in our darkest moments, there is purpose in the pain, and God's love is the light that guides us through. Endurance and hope are intertwined gifts that God's love offers to those who are broken and weary. Life often presents challenges that seem insurmountable, and the journey can feel long and painful. In these moments, it's easy to lose sight of the future, to feel as though the weight of the struggles will never end. Yet, endurance and hope, powered by God's love, remind us that we can keep going even when the path feels impossible. Endurance is not about being unaffected by hardship. It's about continuing to move forward, even when we feel exhausted or overwhelmed. It's the strength to keep going when everything within us wants to quit. This endurance comes from God's love, which strengthens us in ways we cannot do on our own. It's not about relying on our own resources or abilities, but about leaning into God's presence and trusting that He will sustain us. With every step, His love empowers us to endure, knowing that He is with us through the highs and lows, the victories and the defeats. Hope is the anchor that keeps us grounded when life seems uncertain. Hope tells us that this moment is not the end, that there is a future filled with possibilities, even if we can't see it right now. It is the belief that God is still working in our lives, even in the darkest seasons. Hope gives us the courage to keep moving forward because we trust that God is faithful to His promises. His love assures us that our current struggles are not permanent and that He is using them to shape us into who we are meant to be. With God's love as the foundation, endurance and hope fuel us to press on, trusting that brighter days are ahead. In the end, God's love is the powerful force that heals, restores, and empowers us, especially in the moments when we feel broken and lost. It covers us, lifting us from the weight of shame and pain, and calls us to rise again. Through His love, we find our true identity, no longer defined by the world's standards, but by the grace and acceptance of the one who created us. In our weakness, we discover strength, and in our brokenness, we uncover the purpose that God has woven into our lives. His patience and enduring love give us the courage to press forward, knowing that there is always hope, always a future. No matter the trials we face, His love remains a constant, offering the power to endure, to heal, and to become everything He has designed us to be. Through God's love, we are never beyond repair, and with Him, restoration and renewal are always possible.